Hey guys, we're going to talk about trigonometry identities. So let's pretend that we are trying to measure the sun to find this curvature, okay? And we're going to say that this is 300 miles from where we were standing to where the sun rose, and then over here is 150 miles. Good luck finding a protractor big enough to find that angle. So this is where trigonometry identities come in. They say, hey, here's a triangle. I can measure this length of 300. I can measure this length of 150. And then I can plug into a formula to figure out this angle. As soon as I find out the angle in degrees, then I can convert it into radians. And then I can find that curvature. So how it works is the three main ones are sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay. There's going to be some triangle, and then they're going to say, here's theta. Here's the angle we're going to be using to measure. Okay. So for our sun picture that we were using, we would say that this is theta. Okay. So what sine is the opposite to what we're working with over our hypotenuse. Okay? So to give a better picture, let's use a right triangle to work with, because those are easier to kind of understand. Here is theta, okay? So the opposite of what we're working with is over here, okay? Divided by our hypotenuse. So let's say that this is 10 inches, this is 20 inches. We plug that in, we can figure out what this angle is. Cosine, we're going to still use theta. It's the line closest to us, so adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? So let's say that it is 5. So this one would be 5 over 20. And then this decimal would tell me how much this theta is valued at. Okay? We should get the same answer from sine and cosine. The only reason that we have two different ones is maybe this is all the information we have is the 5 and the 20. Okay? So we can't use sine because we don't know what the opposite is. We know this information, so we can figure out this side. Okay? And then tangent is opposite divided by adjacent. Okay? So opposite divided by adjacent. Okay? And that would tell us the measure of this angle. Okay? So all three of these told us the measure of this angle. The only reason we would use a different one is maybe they only gave us 2 of the 3 sides and we have to figure it out. Okay? The opposite of these, so sine was opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite of that would be what's called cosecant, which is hypotenuse over opposite. Okay? Then we have cosine, which was adjacent over hypotenuse. And then we have secant, which is just the opposite side of that fraction. Okay? The biggest mistake I have high schoolers make is they say sine and secant, those are similar, so they must go together. No, it's opposite because we're flipping the fraction. So cosine and cosecant do not go together. Sine and cosecant go together, and cosine and secant go together. Okay? And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. And then we have cotangent, which is adjacent divided by opposite.